Welcome back to The New Mechanic. My name's Randy, and that's my E92 M3. And today, we're gonna change the brakes. All right, the very first thing that we gotta do is get the car up on jacks. I made these homemade custom ramps just to get the car high enough so I can get the jack under the front end. Next up, you gotta use jack stands. There you go. All right, next we're gonna raise the rear end. Alright, so now that we got the car jacked up, we gotta break the lug nuts. And that makes me realize that we probably should have broken the lug nuts before we jacked it up, because if I were to push on this, the wheel would spin, except for I did a little hack. I put a piece of wood between the seat and the brake, and then moved the seat forward so it presses the brake. So we should be able to break these, but just an FYI, might be easier to break it when it was on the ground before you put it up on jacks. So, yeah. Yeah, NASCAR! Yeah! Woo! Alright, so this is the caliper, and on the back side there is a little hole that you're going to take a little cap off that looks just like this. And we're going to go ahead and just insert our 7mm Allen wrench and break it loose. Alright, now that it's loose, we can go ahead and take it out. Alright, and the pin doesn't necessarily have to come out, but this is what the pin looks like, and there's also one down below, so we're going to do it down there as well. Keep track of this, and you'll also notice that it has no grease on it. It's clean, so we're not going to put any grease on it when we reinsert it. Alright, that one's fully loosened, but I just couldn't quite get it out. So, not a huge deal. It shouldn't be in the way at this point, but just so you know, it connects this to this. And these are two different pieces. This slides back and forth, while the inside piece does not. So, what we gotta do is go ahead and take off this retaining clip right here, this plate here with these brackets. We gotta squeeze the piston back in just a little bit, and then this should pop right off, and I have a 5-gallon bucket that I'll slide in here, and we'll set it there. You do not want to rest or just hang this caliper by its brake line. That will damage the brake line, and you know, you kind of need braking and you kind of need the brake line, so you don't want to damage them. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy off. Yep, just like that. Alright, next up, you can just kind of put a screwdriver here, and you just pry. So I don't know if you can see that on camera, but we just loosened it because all I did was pry here. That pushed this that way and this way, and which compresses the piston cylinder. So now this is loose, and we can probably just slide it right off. So, all right, we're close. I think we still got to compress it just a little bit more. I think that's about as far as it's gonna go. All right, there we go. So, there it is. And you can actually see the bottom of the pin right there. See that? Yeah. Okay, so these are the old brake pads, and they are my track pads that need to come off, and then we can put the old ones back on. All right, I moved you so I have a little bit more room, but there are clips on the back of here that you can get access to, and then this one where the caliper piston is just held in there by some of these clips. You might have to remove this one first though, just so you know. But these are pretty thick, so should be fine. But yeah, those pads look nice. We're gonna go ahead and keep them for the next track day. All right, and so the clips I was referring to are right in here, so you can see one's there and one's over here. So you kind of just have to pry them. Get one side out, and then it just kind of pops right out. There you go. So we got both of them out, and this one looks pretty good too. We'll go ahead and save that for the next track day. All right, now you can go ahead and install your new brake pads. In my case, I'm actually reinstalling my old OEM ones because these don't squeal, and these will come off again for my next track day. So yeah, what we're gonna go ahead and do though is go ahead and put a bunch of brake grease on them so that it doesn't squeal, and yeah. All right, and then we'll put some grease on the other piece. You don't want to get grease on the pad surface itself, so that's kind of why I'm holding it the way I am. All right, there we go. So now we can go ahead and install it. All right, that just snaps right in there like that. So there we go. Now we're gonna basically do the exact same thing for the other side. Go ahead and grease it all up, and then we'll install it. All right, go ahead and install this one. Oop. There we go. There it is, nice and in place. And if you got any grease in between, go ahead and just get that wiped up a little bit. Cool. Looking good. Now we can go ahead and reinstall. So typically if you have new pads because you're replacing worn pads, you'll have more material on here. In my case, I didn't. So because I was replacing them with worn pads that had even less, I'll have no problem spanning this gap or having enough gap here to fit this on. If you're putting the new ones on, you're gonna have to take a C-clamp with your old pads and compress that cylinder so that you have enough room here to get it over the rotor. There we go, cool. Now we can go ahead and reinstall these pins. All right, just get the one started so that when you get the other one, you still have some wiggle room to get it in. Don't forget, you gotta reinstall your bracket here. I remember this being a pain when I did it the very first time. And there you go. First side is done. And now you gotta do the other side. And honestly, the rears are just like this. They look a little bit different, but there's two pins, there's a bracket. You take this off, you put the new ones on, and yeah. So I'm not gonna go ahead and show you it because I'm really tired now. And you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times. All right, now that we're finished, we can go ahead and put the wheels back on. All right, so that was not too bad. I filmed 2 videos at the same time. They're gonna come out separately. an oil change, and the brake pads. So I guess whichever one you're watching, thank you very much for watching. Whichever one you didn't watch yet, go ahead. It's in the link in the description below. So yeah, this car should be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and start the engine, get it up to temperature, make sure the oil level is correct. The brake pads should be good, but I'm gonna go ahead and bed them in. And yeah, other than that, we're good. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.